Welcome back. I think today I'm just kind of wanting to mess around out here and use my taps and dies and thread this rod, just a little bit of this rod. I want to connect these two rods for no reason other than to do it. The OD on this is 375 thou. So I have an 11/32 Collett that should be close. Let's go ahead and open this together. I got a whole set of these SAE sized Colletts, ER40 Colletts, but I haven't opened them all. Figured I'd open them as I need them. But let's go ahead and open this together. See if this is the right one for the job. Might be too small. I may have to go up to the next size, but let's see if this fits. These are just cheap Colletts that I got. They seem to be well made, but I do think there's a bit of burrs and stuff when I put my materials in there. Maybe this is normal. I haven't used a lot of the Colletts yet, but maybe this is normal. But it'll scratch up my work pieces whenever I put the stuff in. So this is clearly too small. So I need to go up to the next size. So let's put that one back. Go up to 3/8. Maybe. So 3/8. 3/8. And again, I haven't used a lot of these, so we're just kind of opening them as we need them. Again, they're very well oiled. There's no rust or anything. They seem to be made very well. But like I said, some of them are scratching my material. Let's see if this fits in here. There we go. So it fits very tight, but that's going to work. So what I want to do is face this off. It's a very rough edge. So I'm going to use my collet chuck. We'll put this down in here, we'll face that off, and then I'm going to use a tap, and we'll go ahead and tap this. And then we'll use my die, the corresponding die, with my tailstock die holder that I made. Let's get that out. Show you what's going on there. There we go. So I got my die holder. I got a video on this. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. I'm pretty proud of this thing. It works great. But there's my tailstock die holder, and we're gonna get that mounted up, and we're gonna use the die on this, and we're gonna use the tap on this one, and we'll use the die on this one, and we'll just get those two to thread together. A little bit ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and figure out which tap and die we're gonna use. I don't plan on boring this or anything. I just want to use the tap that's closest. I do want to use SAE, not metric, if I can. Let's see what we have. So I don't think it'll be a quarter. That'll be too small. Maybe 5/8 and 5/16. That might work pretty good. .5/16. How about now? 3/8 would be the entire OD on that. That would just chew through it. So we're not using 3/8. We're going to do 5/16 24. No, I want to do a coarse thread. 5/16 18 thread pitch. So we got that. Let's see what we have in our Irwin set for our dies. Make sure we got the corresponding die here. So we're looking for a 5/16. There we go. Right there. So we have our 5/16 18 thread and our 5/16 die. that's what we're going to use. Just showing you a little closer up of the setup. So there is our, let's turn that around, our Irwin 5/16 18 thread pitch. Here is the Harbor Freight Pittsburgh 5/16 18 thread pitch. I'm going to use my Tailstock die holder. Excited to use this thing again. This thing turned out really well. Happy with that. And then we'll be using the tap in here and the die on this one. So let's get everything mounted up. Oh, we'll also be using the Collett chuck. We'll show you that. There's the Collett. And we'll get that thing mounted up and we'll do some turning. All right, like I said, we got our 3/8 inch Collett. We'll get that snapped in here. First thing I want to do is face this off. Let's get this slid in here. Looks pretty good to me. And I want to try to use this without using the wrench to tighten this thing down. So that's what we're doing right now. There we go. I'm going to face this off, then we'll get our tap going and we'll tap inside of there. So what do we want to use? We will use high-speed steel because that's what I want to do. Bring that back and let's get started. I'll use some cutting oil so we don't have galling and that sort of thing, and then I have some tap fluid that I want to use to keep for the actual tap. I've been wanting to try this stuff, but here we go. Not really a whole lot to that. Just to clean it off. It wasn't squared up. That Collett chuck is running nice and true. I did test it. I didn't do it on camera, but I measured here on the Collett plate, and I have a 2 thou run out, and I think the actual spindle is a 2 thou run out. I messed with it for probably half hour. It's about as close as I can get. So I have a 2 thou run out in this headstock. It is what it is. Maybe I'll tweak with it, mess with it in the future, but for now, that's what we got. So let's see if I can chamfer this a little bit. That'll work. And I'm going to do a little bit on the outside as well. I don't need much. Just want to knock the burr off of that. This is some cutting oil that was given to me, and I want to give this a shot. It's pretty old stuff, but we're going to give this stuff a try. Okay, we're going to try our best to keep this straight as we can. But before we start, let's get some of this oil sprayed in there. It's for cutting. we'll tighten that down. So the collet is actually loosening up. All right. Let's go ahead and put a little more in there. And remember, all this is for fun. I'm just practicing using some of the tools that I've made, some of the tools that I have, and we're going to try to thread these together. But I definitely want to make a live, like a center. Artisan Makes just made one, and I want to make one of those as well. That's going to be plenty of threads for what we're doing. I'll just go a little more. There we go. So now I think we can pull that out of there. Probably leave this off. Oh, there we go. Probably just a little like that. There we go. Not bad. I'm going to actually go a little bit further as I can. I'm going to pull this off the rack. There we go. So, I got it first time. There we go. So now it's time to do the external threading with the die, and we'll get these two connected up. All right, we're back. I'm gonna have to drop down collet sizes because the 3/8 is too large. So that's fine. Should be able to pop this out of there, clean it up. Let's pop in the 11/32, which is the one we opened together a little bit ago. Let's make sure that's gonna work. Still maybe a little too big. Let's see what the collet one size down feels like. 5/16 perhaps. I think that'll be too small. But again, let's check it out. Oh yeah, 5/16. So that's the one we needed. Get that out of the way. We want to snap this in there. Put this in and get our rod in there. And again, because we're doing threading, this time I will go ahead and tighten it up because I know it may want to spin on us. First thing I want to do is face that off, which it should be pretty well faced. And then we'll come back and we'll start doing the die. Okay, that's good. Clean that up. Now, we want to kind of get this stuff out of the way. And we're gonna thread that. Now I'm gonna use my Jacob's chuck because that was the tailstock die holder that I made. Needs the Jacob's chuck. So let's grab that. So, what we want to do, first thing actually, we want to mount our, I need to unloosen my set screw. We want to mount the die, and if you remember, I got one flat, and we're going to use that set screw to keep that from moving there. Let me grab an Allen key and we'll get that tightened down. Alright, we got that tightened down. Now we want, this is 1/2 inch shank or so we got to pull this, there we go. Again, this face should be pretty square, so what we want to do is put it all the way in there, give her a good tightening. There we go. So now when we bring this thing up and we start spinning our collet, it's going to go ahead and thread in, and we're going to make some nice threads. Again, I want to use my cutting oil. Just put some in there. There we go. And now we just need to thread it in. We'll just keep going. Now, I can tell you, that's good enough. So I'm going to do now is roll it out. Oh yeah. Great. That turned out really well. Last thing, these peaks are great. Last thing I'm going to do is put an undercut in here. A relief cut. I think we got it. Let's bring you over to the bench. Let's get a little bit of video in here and show you some of these parts. So I haven't really tested the components that I just made for a fitment, but I think we're gonna be just fine. So the tap that I used was this Harbor Freight 5/16 NC18, so 18 thread. The die that I used was my Irwin set. I got a mess here. Chewed that up pretty good. Let's get that out of there while so this is my tailstock die holder. Since I got you close up here, let's get that taken out. So I'm really happy with this. I'm proud of this tailstock die holder. A lot of people recommended to make one of these. I also recommend that you make one of these if you're getting into this. There's many different ways to do it. You can use a Morse taper on the tail if you wanted to. They make threaded ones you can buy. So there's like a 3/8 or 5/16 or quarter or half-inch thread on the end of a Morse taper shank, and you could just drill and tap and then screw that in, and then you could just put it right in your tailstock without using a Jacobs chuck. I went with the straight shank style so I could use my Jacobs chuck to mount it with. So far it's been just fine for no more than I need it. But then I went with a single set screw style to keep that on there. And then of course I got cutting oil on that because what we just did. Let's get that out of there. It's a pretty tight fit if you remember watching the video that I made this. It's not tight, but it fits well. So we got that. Here's the die. Let's get that cleaned out. Got the aluminum mess here. But anyway, it's a 5/16 18 thread. So I love these dies. These are awesome. These are rethreading dies, I believe, but quite frankly, they work great for just threading anyway. Just threading new threads and whatnot. So I'm going to blow that out. And then finally our tailstock die holder. Let's get that cleaned up. Clean up some of these shavings and chips that came out of that. Kind of interesting stuff. Neat how that kind of bound it all together. Anyway, get rid of that. There's another one. Clean this up. Set that aside. We have our collet that we used, the 5/16 collet for the smaller diameter thread, this one. Put that away. It's got a case. And finally, we got our wrench, which I didn't use this one because I have my die holder, but this is a really nice die wrench if you need it. Now finally, here's what we have. We have our threaded rod. Give you a nice close-up here. Turned out great. And then we have our internal. That turned out all right. So again, Harbor Freight tap Irwin die. What did we do? Maybe. There we go. There we go. So we've successfully attached these two pieces together. Turn this around. So I got this tube and we attached it to a rod. Again, I'm just playing around out here to continue to work with the collet chuck, the dies, the taps, and some of the tools that I made. But those worked really well. Let's get those apart. There we go. So, hope you enjoyed. Hope you find it interesting. Again, this is just me messing around in the shop, but this is going to be its own video. This isn't going to be part of a series. Just working with my Collett chuck, working with my taps, working with my dies, working on creating threads, working on my undercuts for the threads, and making parts fit together like they should be. So here is my internal threading with a tap. Here is my external threading with the Irwin die. Love those dies. And let's do a final fitment. There it goes. Fits there nice and tight. There's no gap. And these two rods are nice and tight together. So this is a practical use scenario. You never know what you're going to have to do to fit two rods together. I could have always drilled and tapped that as well if this was the same material, something a little larger. But this just kind of keeps me working towards getting better with those taps, those dies, threading. I showed a close-up with the iPhone. Those are very nice peaks, but again, this was with the dies, the Irwin dies. Very nice. But things are coming along. Anyway, just messing around in the shop, having fun, working on different projects, continuing to sharpen my skills, and sharing it with all of you. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you on the next one.